You know, when we think of a curse, we usually imagine something like obviously terrifying.
Right, like a creepy doll or something.
Exactly. A dusty tomb bound in strange leather,
Oh.
or yeah, a creepy porcelain doll staring at you from the corner of an antique shop.
Yeah,
We expect evil to announce itself. We want our threats to actually look threatening, because it triggers our survival instinct.
of course.
But what if it didn't look threatening at all? What if instead it looked completely undeniably beautiful?
Oh, that's the worst kind.
Right. What if the trap was handed to you wrapped in this pristine blue linen box, stamped with a reassuring silver logo and like shining in 14-karat gold?
I mean, that is the most dangerous kind of threat. It completely bypasses your defenses because, well, it's something you gladly, eagerly pay for.
So true. So today we're pulling you into a fascinating, highly detailed narrative from Rena Lynn's Prepare for the End book series.
Which is just a wild ride.
It really is, and we are zeroing in on a pivotal antagonist in this lore. His name is Waya, also known as Wolf. We're going to unpack his horrifying Kingdom of Darkness rituals and this really twisted process called the metallic deception.
That part is just, it's brilliant but terrifying.
Yeah, where he literally weaponizes high-end artistry into spiritual traps. So we're calling this deep dive the shaman's gift because in this universe, the things you're given freely are often the things that cost you your soul.
It is a masterclass in manipulation, honestly. We are going to look at both the subtle, hidden manipulation of everyday people through his craft, and then the overt, brutal control he exercises over his inner circle in the deep woods.
Right, right. But to really understand how Wyatt creates these cursed objects, we have to start with his origin.
Yeah, we have to go back.
Like, what fuels this dark inspiration? Okay, let's unpack this. Picture a 15-year-old Wyatt. He's sent out on a vision quest.
Just kid.
Yeah, just 15. And he's lying on an ancient boulder that juts out over this vast valley looking up at the night sky. And he is fueled by sacred peyote.
And, we should probably clarify the role of the hallucinogen here.
Yeah, please do.
In the context of this lore, the peyote isn't recreational. It is a highly specific, calculated tool used in this lineage to forcibly suppress the rational human mind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it tears down the psychological veil, basically emptying the mind so it can be laid completely bare to the spiritual realm.
And the spiritual realm absolutely answers that call.
Oh, big time.
The moon goddess appears to him, she bathes him in her light, and then she envelops him in what the lore describes as swirling, thick, liquid colors.
Right, the colors.
Yeah, these brilliant sparks of deep, rich hues that physically enter his body. They flow right into his veins and mix with his very essence.
It's so visceral.
It really is. It's like imagine downloading a corrupted software update.
That's a great way to put it.
It gives Wyatt this genius-level inspiration and artistic vision, but it fundamentally rewrites his soul with, like, dark, predatory malware.
What's fascinating here is the generational groundwork that makes this possible.
Right.
Because in Rena Lynn's universe, Wyatt isn't just some accidental victim who happened to take the wrong drugs in the wrong woods.
He didn't just stumble into it.
Exactly. He is a pure-born descendant of ancient Aztec, Druidic, and Templar bloodlines.
Wait, really? So he's genetically predisposed to this, like it's inherited.
Yes, exactly. These families have served these specific dark entities for centuries. They have spent generations cultivating this allegiance.
Wow.
So when these colors, this demonic malware, enter him, his body doesn't reject it at all. He doesn't view it as a curse or a horrific invasion.
He welcomes it.
He views it as a divine blessing. To him, it is the realization of his sacred duty to bring the old gods back into power.
He leans into it completely, and the narrative shows us exactly what that looks like.
Oh yeah, right away.
Right after the colors enter his veins, the goddess points to the tree line behind him, and a pack of wolves appears.
Terrifying.
Right. And the leader is this massive, terrifying black beast. But Waya doesn't run away. He runs toward the pack.
He embraces it.
He leaps into the air, the massive black wolf leaps, and they meet midair, physically and spiritually merging.
He becomes the wolf.
He becomes a skinwalker, yeah, a shapeshifter. He runs with the pack that very night, experiencing the primal thrill of hunting down a live doe, tearing its throat out, and literally tasting the hot blood.
And we're looking at the literal embodiment of dual occupancy here.
Right.
He remains a man, capable of walking through a modern town, but he is also entirely possessed by this ancient predatory spirit.
Which is terrifying.
It is. The thrill of the hunt, the taste for blood, the absolute supremacy over prey
Yeah.
doesn't just stay in the woods.
No.
He brings all of that back into the human world. He just dresses it up in civility and commerce.
Which is the perfect way to look at his day job, because Wyatt is a master jeweler.
And a very successful one.
Yeah, he owns a high-end shop on the main square, and his work is intensely sought after. Let's look at his crafting process, because the detail Rinalin gives here is incredible.
It really is meticulous.
He creates these breathtaking, one-of-a-kind pieces. He'll take a flat silver plate, scribe it mathematically, and begin building the foundation of a ring. He takes a chunk of premium, raw turquoise, wraps it in a paper towel, and violently crushes it with a hammer.
Notice the blending of meticulous calculation and raw destruction there.
Oh, that's true.
He is taking the pure elements of the earth, silver, gold, turquoise, and subjecting them to his absolute control.
Yeah, and then he creates a channel in the silver ring, drops in a tiny bit of industrial super glue, and carefully places the crushed turquoise fragments using tweezers.
It's pure artistry.
Then he sprinkles in pure gold and silver filings to fill the microscopic gaps, sprays an activator to harden it instantly, and files it all down until it's perfectly smooth.
It sounds beautiful.
It sounds like pure, dedicated artistry. You're watching a master at work.
Yeah.
But then comes the twist. This is the process we are calling the metallic deception.
Because this is where the artistry stops being art and becomes a literal weapon.
Exactly. So once the piece is flawlessly polished, Waya takes a sharp knife. He makes a small cut on the underside of his own finger.
Blood magic.
Yep. He drips his own blood directly onto the metal ring, and he speaks magic words, dedicating the piece to the dark gods he serves.
Minding it.
He asks those entities to bind the ring, and to bind whoever wears it to his service. Then he takes a soft cloth and wipes away the visible blood.
But he leaves something behind.
Right. He deliberately doesn't use water or polish to clean it. He leaves the distinct metallic scent of human blood on the ring.
And when his high-end clients open that velvet box and smell that tang of blood,
What does he tell them?
he tells them it's the scent of the copper-pickling tongs used in the acid bath during the crafting process.
It's so incredibly twisted. The lie is so perfectly tailored to the ego of the buyer.
It's brilliant, honestly, because it flatters them. When a customer hears copper-pickling tongs, they hear authenticity.
They feel special.
Exactly. They feel like an insider who appreciates the raw, artisanal process. They think they are smelling the sweat and chemistry of a master craftsman, when in reality, they are smelling the physical anchor of a demonic curse.
God, here's where it gets really interesting, though, because this raises an important question about the rules of this universe.
Okay, and what's that?
If I walk into a shop, buy a ring, and have absolutely no idea there's a blood curse on it, how is that fair play in the spiritual realm? Doesn't magic, especially demonic magic, usually require some form of a pact? Like, does the buyer's total ignorance protect them?
That is the crux of magical warfare in Rinalin's narrative.
Okay.
The ignorance doesn't protect the victim. The ignorance is the very thing that bypasses their natural spiritual defenses.
Oh, wow.
Think about it. If Waya handed a customer a glowing red amulet that smelled of sulfur, human free will would instantly kick in.
Right, they'd run.
Alarm bells would ring and they would reject it.
Because the threat looks threatening.
Precisely. By disguising the demonic anchor as a beautiful, desirable object, he tricks their free will. The customer actually chooses to put it on.
Oh, that is sinister.
They choose to cherish it. And that willing choice, even though it is made in total ignorance, gives the attached spirit the foothold it needs. The deception is the exact mechanism that makes it work.
And what does that foothold actually look like for the person wearing the jewelry?
Well, the blood binding spell creates an unnatural, addictive craving in the wearer.
Addictive craving.
Yeah. They fall hopelessly, irrationally in love with a piece of jewelry. They refuse to take it off. They sleep in it. They bathe in it.
So they're always touching it.
Exactly. Because they are constantly in physical contact with this anchor, they are unknowingly kept under the heavy, intoxicating influence of dark spirits.
Wow.
It guarantees they will return to Waya for more, basically drawing them deeper and deeper into his web of influence.
Man, to see exactly how insidious this psychological manipulation is, we have to talk about Beverly and Megan.
Yes, this part is so sad.
The sources detail this specific interaction, and it is just heartbreaking. Beverly is a struggling single mother.
She's having a really hard time.
Yeah, she just got laid off, money is incredibly tight, she's feeling completely defeated, and she happens to wander into Waya's shop near Christmas with her 4-year-old daughter, Megan.
She is carrying a massive amount of emotional vulnerability right then.
Yeah.
She's exhausted, financially stressed, and suffering from a profound loss of identity.
Hmm.
And for a predator like Waya, that kind of desperation is blood in the water.
So true. She's standing there, looking at this stunning jewelry case, which is lit up to make everything sparkle like a rainbow, right? Knowing she can't afford a single item in the store.
And Waya reads the room instantly.
Instantly, he plays the benevolent, generous artist. He takes out a diamond tennis bracelet. He gently explains that the diamonds are slightly flawed, which actually makes them catch the light better.
Which is a very subtle metaphor for how he views her, honestly.
It really is. Beverly admits she can't afford it.
But he doesn't turn her away. He offers her an impossible, irresistible deal.
Yeah.
He practically gives it to her. He says she can have the bracelet for $100, paid off at just $10 a month.
$10 a month.
Right. He looks at this struggling woman
Huh.
and compares the monthly cost to a fast food burger. He tells her all mothers should feel beautiful.
It hits her right in the soul.
He identifies her exact wound and applies the perfect poisonous balm.
But the manipulation doesn't stop with Beverly. He turns his attention to 4-year-old Megan.
This is the darkest part.
Earlier in the day, Waya had been practicing a technique on a flawed, jagged chunk of amethyst. He sliced it, electroplated the rough edges in 14-karat gold, and strung it on a gold chain.
Beautiful piece.
Yeah. And he leans over the counter, puts this gorgeous necklace around little Megan's neck, and then hands her a special hand-carved wooden music box with a dancing lady on top to keep the necklace in.
Just so sweet on the surface.
Right. He looks at this 4-year-old and says, "Every time you watch the lady dance, I'll think of you."
I mean, if you are watching from the street, it is a heartwarming holiday miracle. A wealthy artisan blessing a struggling family.
Right.
But the reality of the lore reveals something chilling. Wyatt didn't just give a kid a necklace. He recognized something in Megan.
What did he see?
The moon goddess had chosen her. That amethyst pendant isn't a gift. It is a talisman designed to mark that child for a future demonic sacrifice.
He's grooming her.
He is gaining her absolute trust and the mother's undying gratitude under the guise of innocent generosity.
So what does this all mean? To me, it is the absolute systemic perversion of trust.
Definitely.
He takes these cursed blood-bound items and he places them into boxes covered in military blue linen. He stamps them with a beautiful silver logo that literally says, "We are one."
We are one, yeah.
He uses modern branding, his sterling reputation in the community, and his manufactured kindness to make his victims feel incredibly special and valued right at the exact moment he is damning them.
It demonstrates the incredible patience of the evil in this narrative.
Oh, for sure.
Wyatt isn't dragging Beverly and Megan into the woods, kicking and screaming. He is letting them skip out the front door, singing his praises, willfully wearing their own chains.
Willfully wearing their own chains. Wow. So we see how he traps strangers with beauty and the illusion of value.
The velvet glove.
Right. But keeping a demonic foothold requires a totally different strategy when dealing with the people who actually know his secret. How does he maintain control over his inner circle?
That takes us to the Iron Fist.
Yeah, let's look at the Iron Fist. Because the Kingdom of Darkness's rituals he leads with his coven are a whole different level of horror.
The jewelry shop is how he hunts the uninitiated. The Deep Woods rituals are how he breaks and controls the initiated.
Exactly. We have a core group of men in this coven. Billy, Irwin, Randy, and a few others.
The regular.
They gather in a remote, deeply secluded cabin. The setup is highly specific and deeply ritualistic. They cast a circle of salt on the floor, about 6 feet across.
Classic occult imagery.
They place a silver pentacle in the center, but they deliberately turn it so the star points downward, which is the universal sign of black magic.
Right.
They surround the circle with black, skull-shaped candles, burning incense, and heavy, solid silver idols of ancient, forgotten gods.
The atmosphere is designed to be completely overwhelming to the senses.
And then Waya steps up to the altar. He takes a brand new, pristine crystal bowl. He takes a knife, slices his own arm, and drips his blood into it.
The blood again?
Then he calls the other men forward, and they each have to cut themselves and add their own blood to the mixture.
A blood pack.
But it's not just a blood pack. Waya mixes in heavy drugs, again, the sacred peyote, along with high-proof alcohol.
A potent mix.
Yeah. Then he takes this blood drug mixture and uses his fingers to draw ancient symbols on the men's bodies. And the sources specify he draws these in incredibly intimate, degrading places.
And we have to analyze the psychological and physiological mechanics working in tandem here.
Oh yeah, break that down.
Because this isn't just about creating a spooky cinematic atmosphere. The heavy drugs and the alcohol are weaponized to lower their human inhibitions and entirely suppress their rational minds.
Because if they were sober, their survival instincts would force them to run.
Yes, by consuming the potion and by allowing Wyatt to mark them so intimately, they're surrendering their bodily autonomy.
Right.
They're moving their own free will out of the way. They become suppressed spectators inside their own minds, which creates the vacuum necessary for demonic spirits to actually enter and possess them.
And the spirit they call up in this specific ritual is pure nightmare fuel.
Oh, it's horrific.
It's described as an enormous, terrifying prince of darkness. It materializes with glowing, sickly yellow eyes and putrid saliva dripping from its mouth.
Just disgusting.
And it demands a price for its presence. It screams that it wants a baby sacrifice, specifically the firstborn male from this group of men.
And this is where the manipulation turns physically brutal. When the demon realizes they don't have a baby readily available to slaughter right then, it demands an immediate substitute.
It wants something else.
It demands to experience lust, a sensation it is denied in its purely spiritual form.
So it sets its sights on Randy. Now, Randy is terrified. He's trembling.
Naturally.
But he's already consumed the drugs, and he's already participated in the blood oath. He is trapped in the circle.
There's no escape.
The demon actually possesses Billy's body, utilizing the ancient markings Wyatt painted on him as a gateway. And then, through Billy, the demon violently brutalizes Randy.
It's savage.
It leaves physical claw marks on his body. And the truly horrifying part is that the other men, fueled by the hallucinogens and the lesser spirits possessing them, they don't help Randy.
No, they don't.
They're drawn into the deviancy.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we can see the cold, calculated strategy behind the horror.
What's the end game there?
Wyatt knows exactly what he is doing to these men. This is a step-by-step searing of the human conscience. By forcing them to participate in, or at least witness and allow, these unspeakable acts, he's normalizing extreme deviancy.
It's trauma bonding on a supernatural level.
It is the ultimate sunk cost fallacy.
Ah.
Once you have crossed these extreme moral and physical boundaries, you can never look at yourself the same way.
No, you can't.
The mundane world loses its color, but more importantly, you can never reintegrate into normal society.
You're forever changed.
Exactly. It binds these men together through shared trauma and massive, mutually assured destruction via blackmail.
They have so much dirt on each other.
They are accomplices to horrific crimes. They're spiritually bound by the demonic possession and practically bound by the fact that if they ever speak a word of this, their lives are over.
Right.
He guarantees their absolute terrified loyalty to the coven, to Wyatt, and ultimately to Lucifer.
It really is the dark mirror of the jewelry shop.
It really is.
Like the retail customers, he creates an addictive craving through beauty, flattery, and a false sense of being valued.
Yeah.
With his inner circle, he creates an addictive craving through trauma, drugs, and absolute degradation. But the end result is exactly the same. Total control over the human soul.
He is a master of identifying the void in a person.
Yes.
Whether it's Beverly's desperate need to feel beautiful and appreciated, or the coven member's twisted need for exclusive belonging and supernatural power. Wyatt finds the hollow space and fills it with poison.
Okay, let's step back from the deep woods and take a breath, because Rena Lynn's world is intensely, relentlessly dark.
It is heavy.
But it forces you to look differently at the concepts of trust and beauty and hidden influences.
Absolute.
Normally, we walk through the world evaluating threats based solely on how they look. If something looks dangerous, we lock our doors.
Right, common sense.
If something looks beautiful, we embrace it. Wyatt's story is a chilling reminder of how easily our baseline vulnerabilities can be exploited by those with a hidden agenda.
And that is the core takeaway. In this narrative, physical preparedness, having a bunker, stockpiling supplies, knowing self-defense, that means absolutely nothing without spiritual vigilance.
Spiritual vigilance.
Because the greatest threats in this world rarely break down your door with an axe.
No.
They're invited in, they sit on your nightstand, they come disguised as incredible bargains, unexpected windfalls, or beautifully wrapped gifts.
It really makes you rethink the physical things you hold on to so tightly.
It really does.
So, as we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought. to mull over.
Okay.
In your own life, if you had to trace the invisible strings attached to the things you value most, the gifts you've received that made you feel special, the luxury objects you crave, or even the habits you just can't seem to break, where do you think those strings actually lead?
A question worth asking.
Until next time, keep your eyes open.